Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is things I've learned with Newbee.Kpii's Abaddon in 7.13. The game starts with Radiant getting a first blood. Kpii was saving a skill point, and at the end of the day, he decided to get a shield to help the Kotl. This is usually the spell you get at level 1 anyways, but sometimes against hard lane, saving the point to suicide might be a better idea. Eventually Shaker shows up, and even though they were doing a good job of pressuring Gyro, there's no way Kpii can save the Kotl here. He ends up committing the shield just to see if he could buy enough time, because if he waited a missile to take the stun away, he would die anyways. So that's unfortunate. He knows that every cooldown on Dire is gone though, so pay attention how instead of disengaging, he lays it out on the Shadow Demon. Fissure and Disruption have pretty substantial cooldowns early on, allowing Abaddon to feel safe for now. Also, as Kotl charges Illuminate, pay attention how Kpii already expects the range creep to be low HP and goes there to contest the deny. That's very important, especially when you're already sharing experience. Dire starts going on Kotl again, but this time they kinda split their damage. Note how Abaddon is still saving a point to decide what to do. When Shadow Shaman commits the Disruption, he gets the passive up, and nothing major happens. What I do like is that he gets the passive after knowing he'll have the gold for boots. At level 2, you're going to have close to 420 move speed when you apply the Curse of the Avernus level 1 on someone, and there's a lot of huge implications regarding that. First of all, since it applies move slow, attack speed slow, and it gives you move speed, look how helpless Shadow Demon is versus Kpii. They tried to go in afterwards, and it was beautifully done by Dire. Shaker stuns before Abaddon can remove Soul Catcher, dealing a lot of damage to Abaddon, but pay attention how this small decision changes the outcome of the game completely. Actually, Kpii misplayed, so I'm sorry, but you can clearly see that he wanted to attack Shaker to get the extra move speed to get away. He survives anyway, but that was super clutch. In almost every gank attempt, it's usually worth it to waste time to hit your enemy once, just because of how much move speed you get. He survives regardless, he gets the self going, and since Dire is super low, he knows he doesn't need to go back to base. A lot of people associate being low HP to going back to base always, but if you take your time to look at their HPs, Shadow Demon is definitely going back, and he can even play aggressive on Gyro as any Abaddon should. Afterwards, we see a very common Abaddon play. Gyro is close to him, but that hero has decent move speed, so Kpii hits a creep to get move speed to be able to hit Gyro and goes back. This is the bread and butter of the laning of Abaddon, and he executes it perfectly. As long as you can keep the buff going for yourself, anyone can be a target of your aggression in lane. When Shadow Demon gets back and he sees that Shaker is off the map, he needs to play carefully, especially considering his low mana and HP pool. I really like that he pings the left tree area so that his Kotl can scout it out, preventing Kpii to be fissure blocked, and he just keeps drawing aggro and trying to CS and leech experience. He ends up stealing both bounties, and it's awesome to see how strong this hero is. When he separates Shaker from Shadow Demon, he can easily lay it out on the position 5, forcing Disruption. This is a huge trade, and he loses nothing. They realize that Dire is pulling, so both Radiant heroes go there to contest it, and as long as he has vision of Gyro, he can fight these two heroes easily. They try to go on him, and note how he first dodges the Aftershock to only then dispel the debuff, and keep fighting. But after seeing that Gyro wants to play, he disengages. He was afraid of Shadowfiend going to him, so he runs back, and once again note how he doesn't go back to base. He has now 7 magic 1 charges and knows that Dire supports have very little mana to work with, and maybe even skills on cooldown. And there you go, that's a dead support. He also sees a battle mid and helps his Pvgna a little bit. Note that your clarity gets cancelled if you use Miscoil, but he helped and got some experience for that at least. He realizes that Dire is playing quite aggressively in his safe lane, and since he just took a Shrine Bath, he decided to join his Terrorblade. Unfortunately though, Dire played this as crisply as possible. He gets disrupted as Dire lays it out on Terrorblade, so there is nothing Kpii can do. Even though he doesn't help Terrorblade, this TP is important, or else they will lose tier 1. Also, carries that watch my channel, pay attention how terribly goes top to stop the same catapult push. If a core goes to your lane when you're dead to save you and you die, don't TP back to that same lane, or you will risk losing a tower or maybe a lot of HP on that tower, and you will also screw with that core because he's gonna have to walk all the way back to the lane, and that's a lot of lost experience and gold. A fight starts, Abaddon makes sure to dispel the soul catcher online immediately, but with Shaker showing up, he didn't had enough time to pop the wand and shoot his poor support. Eventually, Jero goes like a crazy man to kill Abaddon, and let's watch how Kpii deals with this. Kpii knows that he's super fast and that he has level 3 shield, so he pops one shield as fast as possible to have another one ready afterwards. He doesn't shoot again though, he wastes the slow from Jero's ult to dispel that and gets out. He also tries to help Lion there so that the flak cannons destroy the shield, killing Shadow Demon, and look how beautifully he utilizes the fog. He buys enough time for another shield, dodging the Omni Knight. Uses one missed coil to kill Gyro. Shields Pvgna to save him, and since he got level 6 he decides to engage, and I feel like he wanted to suicide but ends up taking more damage than expected. Regardless, just beautiful fight and decision making there. Terrorblade is still top, so there's no point in TPing there, and Kpii is going for the now standard Helm of the Dominator build on this hero. He already offers a lot of push with Curse of the Avernus, and that increases even more of the item. The HP regen also allows you to constantly be full HP, not risking those early and awkward borrowed times against creeps or just having to force a lot of shields or else you just die to the creeps, but he gets ganked. He goes bottom to halt the push that started after his death, and note how beautifully he plays here. He draws aggro from a creep using the mist coil with shield already pop on, so that shield is close from popping. With the aggro, he gets the passive going on the creep to later close the gap on the Shadowfiend thanks to his phase boots. Since he was so fast, only one raise clips him, and after seeing the Omni TP, that's just an easy kill. And that's really how this hero plays. That's how you close the gap. You want to use other units and use that unexpected boost of move speed to get on top of people. Since he knows that a fight won't be happening anytime soon, he just preemptively ults, killing the Shadowfiend. He can't TP top to save Terrorblade, and Pvgna is farming bottom, so he goes towards the mid lane to hold the push there. Afterwards, Shadowfiend shows mid, and pay attention how he wastes the phase boots cooldown to engage on him. He already has one shield going, so he waits Shadowfiend to break that while also dispelling the raise debuff. And this is what this hero does in the early game. It's almost impossible to trade with him, and he pushes him out of that lane. We see another similar pattern. Kpii could go mid but knows that his core is there, so it makes no sense to farm the same lane. Even though he has to walk a little bit more, he goes bottom, allowing Terrorblade to grow while also preventing tower damage. He sees Gyro engaging though, and when he sees the magnitude of Dire's commitment, he's forced to TP. Unfortunately though, he can't close the gap on anyone, and trading with Omni is not a good idea. That hero is one of the few heroes that actually deals with Abaddon pretty well. The heal is too strong, and the attack speed slow makes your attacks almost useless. Another interesting interaction with Helm of the Dominator and Abaddon is that your creep actually starts doing decent damage thanks to Curse plus attack speed aura, making you scale more than you would think. He actually farms Ancients here without being too low in HP and or using the shield. As he farms the Ancients though, a fight starts, and notice Kpii's positioning. He doesn't show yet after all Terrorblade is banished. He goes for the shield. Unfortunately, Terrorblade sunders a hero that was not full HP, which in turn loses them the fight. The Clown Fiesta just continues because as soon as Kpii respawns, his team is chasing Shadowfiend and he feels obligated to TP. Unfortunately though, he ends up badly positioned when he tries to dodge the call down. But at the end of the day, it's still a good trade since they lost an offlaner while Dire lost the Shadow. After that engagement, we can see a clear shift in playstyle. He understands that he's underleveled and underfarmed and starts the Radiance grind. Note though that he's not farming jungle most of the time, he's pushing lanes first. His hero can farm Ancients, but only when any other lane is pushed to its max. There's no point in just losing towers to farm a Radiance. There were a shit ton of engagements this game, but Kpii stopped trying too hard to fight with his team. At the end of the day, Pvgna doesn't scale too well in the late game against those heroes, and someone will have to lift some weights later on. The experience gain talent works pretty well when you had a tough laning phase, which was the case here, and another interesting decision is that before going for the Radiance, he gets himself a Glimmer-Kpii. Eventually he sees the Dire acquire Roshan and tries to pressure the bottom tower to force rotations, and at this stage it's clear how good this hero is for pushing. And I like how, knowing that Dire will approach through that angle, he places the Centaur there as he TPs away, and they smoke straight afterwards, getting a pick-off on the Aegis Gyro that didn't want it to rotate bottom to defend. This is an easy kill since they knew that the entire Dire lineup was somewhere else. This is one of the many reasons as to why split pushing is important. If you play as 5 when the enemy gets Aegis, you give them the entire map to farm. When you split push, you separate the enemy team, allowing you sometimes a chance to get important pick-offs like this one. The pick-off itself is great, but what's even more important is that after all those TPs, they can easily get a tier 2 because Dire will have to move there and defend. And even though Dire is ahead, when you're against an Alpha Wolf Abaddon with Helm of the Dominator and Metamorphosis, things can get ugly pretty quick. Abaddon ends up falling shortly after, and things get super hard for the Radiant team. So how do they turn it around? When Kpii TPs, note how he doesn't go all in. Kotl has no buyback, and if you spend your borrowed time as soon as you respawn, the enemy team will destroy your hopes and just dive you. He retreats and Dire eventually has to fall back with Shadowfiend's BKB being spent. It seems okay, but his Pvgna dies, Omni has a freaking eggs already, and suddenly this is a 17k gold lead for the Dire team. A weird mistake by Dire kinda catapults itself in one of the worst 7k plays I've ever seen in my life. Basically, Shadow Demon ends up disrupting an illusion, and I guess Shaker didn't understand it was the illusion, and as that happens, Lions get Shadowfiend but fingers a creep, ultimately resulting in Shadowfiend BKBing and ulting for pretty much nothing. Still, pretty huge lead for the Dire team. Later on, we can kinda see what Kpii wanted with the Glimmer-Kpii. Not only it's another save for the allies, the magic resistance from the item helps him not ult against his will or even protect himself. Clutch Blinding Light from Kotl, but the Terrorblade is dead. It just keeps getting worse and worse by the second until Shadowfiend decides that maybe poking Abaddon was a good idea, and he was wrong. Even though that happened, they lose the melee barracks top, and this is a 20k gold lead already. He gets his relic, and while Terrorblade dies, they do get a couple of kills. Watch how the fight pans out. It's interesting to know that you can't shoot allied BKB heroes, but you can miscoil them. So he tries his best to save the Terrorblade, but fails. The crazy fights don't stop actually, as Kpii tries to get an arcane rune, Dire dives the Kotl, and top tier decision making ensues. Abaddon doesn't have a lot of mana right now, and Kotl is safe, so he refrains from helping him and tries to aid the TB. Since TB was U-Scepter, he shoots himself and glimmers the TB since that's actually instant, and that maintains him pretty healthy. Thanks to the clutch illuminates from the ex-Kotl, they turn the fight around, and here it starts to get juicy. He gets himself a Papa Wolf, and note that the Glimmer-Kpii once again proves to be useful. The cores on the Dire side want to try to dive and kill people, but both Shadowfiend and Gyro won't be carrying dust at 33 minutes. In fact, even if they do, you can dispel the effect and keep being invisible. Shadowfiend starts to tilt, Kpii makes sure to keep on provoking him, and when Dire thinks it's time to jump, the U-Scepter from Omni gets used, allowing Kotl to drain all his mana, and well, this is daytime. It's curious that even though he got the Radiance, he doesn't get the damage talent. Both Gyro and Shadowfiend have amazing move speed talents, and he doesn't have the move speed talent himself, so he just gets the cooldown reduction so that at level 25, he becomes this unstoppable beast with the better shield. He makes sure to get a clarity as they start pushing. A lot of players at this stage would be like, wait, I'm going to heal with the base, when in reality, this is time for them to take as many towers as possible, maybe even bait buybacks. Abaddon is the hero that allows their push without Metamorphosis to begin with. And note how the clutch miscoil that BKB Pvgna saves him here. As they disengage, he doesn't shield terribly, he wants to wait until the missile hits. He does, and not only this is a dead gyro, this is their push back on track thanks to the recall from the Koto. Another clutch decision was going back after that fight, since Dire will most likely not engage with BKBs on cooldown, even if they have buybacks. So he regens, gets called back, and here you can see that the new Shadow Demon ult not only destroys the shield as soon as it's used, it doesn't get dispelled by the shield, so be aware of that, that's a cute counter to Abaddon. The push starts, and he smashes the sad Shadow Demon, and since he wants to man fight, he uses shield on himself. They force another buyback, and they eventually just win the game. I'm kinda sorry, this video is not as long as it should be, but since I was casting today, I had no time to analyze more than that. As of always, guys, if you want to know more about my life, follow me on Twitter. If you want to see some crispy casts or see me play, follow me on Twitch. If you want some spoilers of the next video or what's going on in my life, check my Instagram. If you want to talk about people that care about Dota and you're a crispy boy, join our Discord channel. And this is it. This video is sponsored by Pvgna. Those guys are great. I would never be where I am without those guys. They have a lot of tutorials, a lot of videos about everything that encompasses Dota. And if you take your time and actually watch them, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be a way better player. So thanks guys, hope this was meaningful for you. Remember to leave your like, this is the only way for me to know if the video was actually good or if you care about what I was talking about. Thanks everyone, bye.
Radiant's top shrine is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Your shrine has fallen to the dark. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's top barracks are under attack. Radiant's top barracks have fallen.
My soul is ready to be saved.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Dire are scanning. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's top barracks are under attack. Dire's top barracks has fallen. Dire's top barracks has fallen. Dire's top shrine is under attack.
Money changes hands.
Tribute to my house.
Finders. Haste!
Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack. Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
All one.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
All ones will break.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Healing shock.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom barracks down his bottom barracks has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Double kill.
The Radiant now have mega creeps. Dire's Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's ancient is under attack.